Live from the internet, this is the Crystal Chronicles, your official, unofficial Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia podcast. I am Mark, and you are joining us on February 28th, 2019, episode 44. This is not the second time or third time that we've had to restart this because of technical difficulties. So I want to introduce to you for the first time my good friend and yours, Mino. Hey, Mino, how you doing?
Hey, Mark. I'm doing good. Hey, everybody on stream.
And we are joined by our special guest tonight. It's not Manta, it is Kriese. Hey, Kriese, how are you doing?
Hello. Thank you for inviting me to join you on the show tonight. I'm excited.
Those of you who don't know, Kriese is one of our contributors to the Reddit community. You can find his work at Xerink, Xernik. That's right. On Reddit, he is always doing great evaluations, which we will talk a little bit about moving forward. So, we have some news that we have already talked about, and that is the fact that we have some increased weapon token and increased anniversary events, a few more days to do those. So if you have not done Reminiscence or if you have not spent your anniversary tokens, you can do that. We also have those Reminiscence events, and I want to remind you that if you're looking for help on clearing any of those, you can check out Macnol, that would be Macnol on Reddit. That is one of our friends, and he does reviews, and he has compiled a list of videos of runs from all over the internet. So you can go to that one source, check out a whole bunch of different videos, and check out and see what you're going to do there. So I encourage you to go on Reddit and check out Macnol's work if you are interested in that particular event. That brings us to some of the events that we need to talk about this week. The first being the Auron Lost Chapter. So I'm going to turn it over to Mino and Kriese for talk about Auron and Cyan Awakenings. We got 2 awakenings that time.
Give us the info, Kriese. You're the character eval expert here.
Sure. So this was Auron's Lost Chapter that dropped, and we are now in the era where Lost Chapter characters are getting their EX weapons with the Lost Chapter. So Auron, on top of getting his character awakening, also got a brand new AX weapon. Let me pull this up, so give me a... Auron gets a huge benefit with his awakening. One of the big problems with him pre-awakening was he had very few ability uses, and that's basically flipped around now. He goes from 3 to 8 Vanishing Blade uses with his extension passive. 3 to 8.
Yeah,
I don't think we've
intense.
seen anything like...
Yeah, I mean, if anything, that says to me that Square Enix and the developers realize, hey, we fucked up. Here's we definitely did not design this character well. Here is the skill enable.
In addition to that, the Purgatory extension gives him another ability use, and also finally brings his melee resist down debuff to 100% chance, which is huge for him. He did not have that before, and it hurt when he failed to trigger few ability uses as he had.
Yeah, a lot of his problems were fixed with his awakening, which is good, because not all characters can say that their awakening actually fixes things.
Right.
Oh yeah. On top of that, got an extra turn duration for melee resist down, and along with some other nice little things, his EX ability gave him an AoE melee attack, which does decent potency, but also is another source of the melee resist. So he has an ability that's on use whenever he wants it, plus his EX ability on a slow recast that he can use to apply that melee resist down debuff now.
And let's not forget, apparently a lot of people forget the biggest part about Auron EX is it is an AoE turn delay. So you're pushing everyone's turn back by 1. You get a break, all the enemies' turns get pushed back by 2. That's actually the biggest benefit I hear from Auron EX turn delay, which is huge as Bacon Setzer and Leo.
That is correct. Auron was our first turn delay with Awakening at all. So in general, Auron makes out pretty well with his Awakening. He turns from a pretty bad character who had very few ability uses and could not guarantee his debuffs to a character who can make other melee users hit hard. I regretfully did not pull for Auron, so I can't say how he works in practice. Do either of you have Auron's kit sing a top?
I believe, Mark, you've got everything, right? Have you taken him for?
I have. I do have all of Auron's weapons, and I have him fully leveled and max limit broke. I do like him. He obviously works really well with Squall and Selfie. He works really well with Kate Sith, and any other kind of melee. He'll probably work real well with Yuri. Or is Yuri magic, or no? Yuri's physical, right? The big
Yuri
attack.
is melee, ranged, and magic.
Mix.
Yeah, he's
he's all over the place.
But yeah, so Auron.
Versatile is the word you're looking for.
Yes, he is versatile. Yeah, no, Auron's good. He's one of my favorite characters, so I don't necessarily think he's perhaps meta, but I do like the Imperil characters, and so I have Garnet fully kitted out, and now I have Auron fully kitted out, and obviously other people that can work around him, so that's nice. Yeah,
I'm actually very happy for you, Mark, because didn't you pull a lot for Auron? And you were almost in the pits of despair before you finally got that EX?
No.
I think it was. I remember you posted your first two polls, both just 111 Cyan 50.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't end up pulling a lot, but yeah, the first few pulls were really bad. like I did two multi pulls and 50 tickets and got like 3 15 CP weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I remember in Discord, I was encouraging you to keep pulling, because Auron's your favorite. You crash and burn. But the universe had different plans and gave you the EX on pull 4 or so.
Yeah, it was just maybe 3 or 4 pulls, multi pulls in, so not too bad. I cannot complain. I'm still sitting over 100,000 gems, so.
Oh my god. Well, so from I'm hearing and what I remember back in the JP days, and from gathering information on different servers and stuff, is that with the EX, Auron is very, very viable. With the EX, ton more longevity, which I think is the key going forward, as we'll see with Vaughn and Prish. Basically, EXs add longevity. No matter how bad they are, no matter what, the EXs make the characters last longer for these fights, which is starting to become really important, as we'll see. They say with the EX, Auron can actually keep 100% uptime on his Imperil for quite a few turns, a few dozen turns, that otherwise not only does it fall off too much, but without the EX, you would, if you're spending all of his second skill charges to keep that Imperil up, he doesn't last that long. He's more of a burst character. So I remember ages ago when he awakened in JP on Ultima, they said the difference between Auron with his EX and without is like 2 or 3, basically. And but with, he can make a lot of melee specific teams run and extend viability for a while, increase that AoE damage and single target damage, as well as many other characters. So I think Auron's a very cool character to have. I think I tried for him a little bit, but I think Auron's a very cool character, very good concept, but I'm sure many people did not pull because he's not super meta. I still think he's one of the better characters right now, though, if you have a full kit.
I think this is going to be a pattern for a lot of characters we're going to see for the next month or two, but I think Auron fits in that pattern that we're seeing right now of very good characters who fill a certain niche. Auron flourishes when he has characters that can benefit from his debuffs the most. I think in my analysis post, I specifically called out characters like Squall, Zidane, and Katsif, characters that do melee attacks and will take advantage of that weakness.
Yeah.
Without it, he's just another DPS. But with it, and with parties built around his mechanic,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That brings us to the next Awaken character for this LC.
Also,
Kriese.
completely broken. His name is Cyan.
Yeah. Tell us about Cyan and the changes he got, Kriese.
You are absolutely right. He is still broken. He is as bad as he was before.
He is no more good.
No more good.
What Cyan's Awakening does is it makes him a much stronger character. He gets max for his attack and max brave while he has concentrate up, which he should have 99% of the time. His attacks actually hit hard now, so he's not getting the same huge damage penalty he was getting before because his abilities ignored defense. So they actually will do damage. Cyan's problems, however, are still the same problems he had before. Only one of his abilities is a brave plus HP attack, and he still has to do the concentrate to activate his actual offensive ability. Right. He wastes a lot of turns, and as anyone who has characters who aren't turn efficient can tell you, that hurts score right now. I don't think anyone's going to be using Cyan for those.
Anything to add, Mark? Did you awaken him? Did you try him out?
No, I have him almost fully limit broke, but yeah, I have not been using him, and I don't foresee using him in the immediate future, unfortunately. Sorry, Cyan. Maybe someday. There's always level 70.
There's always level 70.
Let's just state right now that Cyan has yet to receive any changes in Japan, as far as I'm aware. He is the same now as he will be a year in Japan.
Yes. In Cyan's defense, I'll always play devil's advocate here, is that from what I hear is his awakening a few ways. One is his speed up on concentrate Fang shoots him up huge. Like it's the same as Waka's speed up, which, as everyone knows, it's pretty enormous. So, and his concentrates become near instant once he awakens and gets the extensions. So one of the biggest problems was how slow he is. He's actually above average speed after his awakening. And as I was talking to Kriese about before the show, sure, he has to waste a turn on his concentrates, but that's only one turn, and then he gets 8 uses of his abilities. So that's much better than many people who have to enter the stances. That's something. The only complaint I have is the buffs his stances give him just are not. He could have raised the potencies on that a lot. If you can give Waka in the same awakening wave plus 100% max brave or plus 120% attack, and Cyan only gets like 40 to 60% stat buffs. Fair.
Although, against Waka, his buffs are all generic. They can be pushed off very easily. And I think that's one of his big problems. But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. Yes. So that brings us to the banner. We talked a little bit about it. It is Auron, Vincent, and Cyan. Not a great banner, but if you like Auron and you missed Vincent, it's not a terrible banner either. It doesn't sound like either of you pulled very hard. I did, obviously. Not super hard, but not very hard either. So probably something...
The real prize of that banner is definitely Auron's weapons. You want to get Auron's X if you're going to pull on.
Right.
Unfortunately, it is not included in the what we're about to talk about G tokens system. So if you want to try to get that, you cannot automatically be guaranteed with 15 pulls, sadly. So that brings us to the Lost Chapter itself. We have a regular and hard version of the Lost Chapter, which I was streaming, and then that doesn't seem to be working, so I apologize all those watching online. We were streaming that, but the video seems to be interfering with everything else right now. But we did have a level 100 EX, which is 2 iron worms. Is that the name of those particular worms? You know the worms that do the gravity spit. They do the HP damage. Iron worms. So who did you guys bring, and who would you suggest if we have listeners who have not completed that content? You do have to do an Auron carry if you want to get the full score and complete it, so you do need to bring Auron along. Regardless of what weapons you have on him.
Mm-hmm. Kriese, you want to start us?
Sure. For the carry, I don't remember what team I used anymore. My Auron has no weapons, so I brought, I think, something like Selfie and another DPS like Beatrix. I don't remember exactly. The carry didn't work great. I ended up gem reviving just to get through it and not have to carry Auron again for the 100. For my score completion team, I've used the team that I've actually been using for almost everything recently, which was Garnet EX, Beatrix EX, and Ramza EX, and I got 169,000 score.
Oh, not bad. So, I mean, for my run through the score challenge, whatever, same team, Kate, Beatrix, Selfie, easy win. But the carry was actually pretty difficult. I actually like the difficulty. I had to reset a lot to get it, but I don't think I brought the best team. I did Vincent, Beatrix, and Auron was dead weight the entire time. He capped at like 5k max brave, and all he did was HP attack every time. And it was awful. I think he ended up dying too. It was terrible. He was so useless. And Garnet and Vincent barely eked out a win with the carry, but I don't think that's the most viable team, because when I went back to do the little lower difficulty ones, I just took Kate, Selfie, and Auron. All of their buffs got Auron to a respectable 12, 13k, where he could actually contribute. But I did like the challenge of having to carry Auron. Maybe it was harder than it should have been, because I stubbornly refused to level Auron before doing it. But I had fun. How about you, Mark, since you had the kit?
I brought, well, I did this. I finished it before I got his EX and before I fully leveled him. So I did the same thing that you did. I brought Beatrix, Vincent, and a level 50, 51 Auron without any weapons. So
I'm surprised you didn't bring Garnet, actually, because I think you were trying to use her for more content.
I brought, I'm not sure I brought Garnet. I may have brought Garnet for the full score carry. Either I brought Vincent. No, because I had Vincent, so I just brought Vincent for that one, because he serves kind of the same role as she does. So I know they are different characters, but I don't think they necessarily stack real well. So I think I brought Selfie, Vincent, Beatrix for the big run. I would have brought Selfie, Garnet, Beatrix if Vincent wasn't buffed in that particular event. So
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a consensus, right? Like, going for the score wasn't a big deal, but the Auron carry was actually pretty challenging.
Yeah, the Auron carry without a geared Auron can be challenging.
I had no
the
Auron
iron
weapon.
worms are just can get so tanky if you let them sit around long enough that
Yeah.
they become difficult to shave. They become difficult to keep from killing you if you let them stick around. As I said, if you bring a full team that knows what they're doing, even mages, they'll destroy them before they have a chance to do anything serious.
all right, well, that brings us to our next agenda item, and that is the Square Enix mobile stream that we had earlier this week. I believe it was on Tuesday, wasn't it? Yeah, maybe. So I want to go over a few things that were announced on the stream, and then we'll dig into the awakenings and all that. But first things first, there was a couple announcements that were made live on the stream. The first was that our daily login bonuses are going to be adjusted a little bit. I believe the adjustments are all of the gems are going to be on one day. The free ticket that we get every week is going to be moved up. And then on day 8, we are going to get 3, what are they called? Weapon tokens?
They're officially called power tokens.
Power tokens?
Yes.
Power token exchange, yes. We have power tokens and armor tokens. Yes, so power tokens which can be exchanged for weapons in the game. So we will get 3 of those every week, which means not every week, every 8 days, which means we'll be getting some of those, I guess. But we should be getting additional power tokens in the co-ops going forward.
The events should at least come with 1, and maybe special occasions such as we just got a bunch from the FF Portal app reward.
Right. Yeah.
Correct. The part of the portal rewards for February included power tokens. I do not remember how many.
I think it was 15.
We did get 15, right? Yeah, as a login bonus. Thank you.
That was the interlude reward.
That was an interlude reward.
Shoot.
Yes.
Even
so
better.
If you have
Yeah,
completed
maintenance, the interlude clear for power tokens became available.
Yep.
Oh
so
man, that's really good.
If you have completed interlude, then you get 15 power tokens. If you have not, it's a good incentive to do that, because that's just a regular. What's the second tier? It's player mission, right? I believe that was a player mission, so that's not limited time. You can always get that as long as you complete interlude. You will be able to get those 15 power tokens. So, and as long as you log in every day, Mino, you will be able to get the the 3 power tokens. So yes, that's not, that is what it is. So we also had the announcement of some costumes. So it looks like we're going to have 2 costumes a month, right? I think that's going to be
looks like it's set, which is literally doubles my DFFOO spending.
Me too. I already budgeted for it. So,
so
this month is Vaughn, and Vaughn's we already have Vaughn's. His is Sky Pirate Sexy Pants. I don't really know what his is supposed to be. He's like his
I love it.
Sky I like it. I think it looks good. I'm not really sure what it's what's it called?
Go
here?
ahead, Kriese, you want to take over?
The costume comes from a side Final Fantasy XII game for the DS called, I think it was Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings, where Vaughn was the main character.
And
he wore.
I thought it came from Tactics Advance 2, where he comes in.
That costume for Vaughn in Tactics Advance 2 is from Revenant.
Really? Okay, I thought he was still a little shirtless peasant in Revenant Wings. That's my mistake then.
I could be mistaken, but I think that is where.
I'm going to do a quick Google search.
Well, I'm looking to see.
But go
yes,
ahead.
It is
talking.
Final Fantasy XII Conflicted Hero Vaughn costume. I think it's a good looking costume.
So it did premiere in Tactics Advance 2, actually. I get those mixed up all the time too. So apparently he was still a shirtless street rat in Revenant Wings, but the point is it's supposed to be him when he's a fully fledged Sky Pirate.
Yeah.
And I love it because he doesn't look Aladdin ripoff anymore. So that was an instant buy for me. One of the better costumes.
Yeah, I definitely agree. If I had Vaughn's weapons, I would probably be more inclined to buy it right away.
Well, if you buy it and use those gems to pull on the current banner, you might just...
We're getting a little ahead for ourselves, aren't we?
Yes, thank you. So we are going to have one additional costume this month, and it's a mystery. And so it's definitely Ace, but it's a mystery, so you didn't hear that here. It's definitely an Ace costume, but it's not confirmed that it's an Ace costume. So if you're a big fan of Ace, he is going to get his EX probably later this month. Oh wait, that's spoilers.
Correct.
We don't know that either. But if he does, it's likely going to be with his new costume. We also got our calendar of events. So every month we're going to get this beautiful calendar of events that is super duper hard to read if you're actually looking on it in game. So if you go to your calendar of events in game, it's just like how the hell am I supposed to read this? Because it's from left to right, but you scroll up to down, and thankfully we have smart people who have taken care of that for us on our Discord. So
Yeah, I want to say on the Reddit right now, I think the front page there's a JP calendar and a GL calendar like right next to each other. And in the comments of the thread for the GL calendar, everyone's complaining about how ugly the calendar looks compared to the JP one. And
Oh,
they're like, why couldn't they just copy the JP where it's kind of spaced out more, right? So
I
you're
have
kind
not
of reading
looked
in a
at
diagonal.
I've not looked at the JP calendar. I'm going to have to go do that, but it
Yeah,
is
but
not it's not easy to read, but who cares? I mean, the information is there, right? So, I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
they don't even have to give us a
One
nice, a nice format. They could just literally tell us what's going to be when, and, I would be fine with it.
one thing to keep in mind with the calendar is if you look at it, they're really front loading this month again. We got a lost chapter in on Sunday. We got another character event on next Thursday, and we have the current heretics. We're going to have a co-op for the heretics soon, and then things slow down again like they did in February. So things are going to be busy for a week or two, and then they'll slow down again, kind of like
Yeah,
what.
we're still going to have basically something every Sunday and Wednesday. Um,
Yeah, like
so
Kriese says though, the
yeah,
more exciting stuff seems to be in the
no,
front. I
true,
completely
true.
agree. Yeah, and then I was noticing that last month too. A lot to do in the beginning of the month. I was having a lot of fun. Then towards the end, maybe it was just last month with Auron LC coming at the end and other events, but the final 2 or 3 releases did not excite me at all, and I was definitely not logging into the game much. And then the stream happened, and then
Hmm.
I got into the game again because, like he said, all the
Yeah,
exciting stuff's coming first.
yeah,
So I don't know how to feel about this, but I'm definitely hyped at the beginning of every month. For
yeah.
sure.
Well, and
Oh yeah, there's going to be plenty
realize,
of stuff to do, but just keep in mind things will slow down. I also forgot that we do have the new story chapter in the middle, so that
yes,
does
Definitely.
fill things up
and
quite a bit.
Yes.
I am also
Sorry.
counting a World of Illusion permanent, which of course that's not a big time investment. It doesn't hurt that most of us like complete the content as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But the calendar only goes till March 21st, so um, there's
We're
other
going to have a
days.
quiet Sunday after that.
There's other days in March, so I'm not sure if there's just no other events or they're holding that to the next calendar. I'm not sure what the calendars. I haven't looked a lot at the calendars in Japan to see if they, if they just go from calendar to calendar. Like this one started on February 28th and is going to March 21st, so is the next one going to go from March 23rd to whatever. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe they're hiding something. Sneaky.
Mm.
Global exclusive Red 13.
Josh
Glo-
kind of shot down global exclusive characters for a while.
That was
global
hilarious.
exclusive Bosch.
On
Yeah,
stream,
what did he
someone
say?
asked, they're like, when's the next, someone on stream asked, when's the next global exclusive? And Josh is like, you guys, I don't think you understood how much work went into Beatrix becoming a global first. Like, a lot of work. We're probably not going to see that again for some time. So
They don't like you that much. Yeah. Yeah. All right,
If you want them to like you, wail harder.
Yeah, right. Spend more
will.
money. So perhaps the most exciting thing to come out of this live stream was the new announcement of the introduction of the G token system. So would one of you gentlemen like to tell us what the G token system is and why we are excited about it or not excited about it? I won't put words in your mouth. Tell us what it is first and then tell me how you feel about it.
Kriese, you are our fact guy.
How do you
I leave it
feel?
to you.
Sure. So the G token system just came out in Japan, from my understanding, about a month ago.
Yes.
And what it really is a mercy system on banners.
Yes.
If you pull on the banner with a multi-pull, you'll get some G tokens. If you pull enough, you'll be able to spend those G tokens for an EX weapon or power stones. This basically puts a hard cap on how much you can spend on a banner before you get an EX weapon. And I think the number is 75,000.
Yes.
However, system has to be considered in the idea that those G tokens do not cross between banners. So, for example, if you pull on Von EX, you do not have those G tokens for the Preach EX banner. You have to spend gems there to get those tokens. So be careful on how you spend.
Great explanation. I also want to add that so it's 15 multiples in total
Yes.
to guarantee an EX, which I think is more than most people are gonna hoard. Am I going out on a limb? I want to say most people are like me and pull spontaneously. Me and Pierre.
Yeah, no.
Don't
Hey,
save 75K.
let's ask Twitch about this. If you're watching us, listening to us right now, tell us how many gems do you have right now?
Yeah, how many gems do you
yeah.
have, and how often do you do full 15 multiples on a banner? Probably almost never.
Yeah, well,
But
I can honestly say I have not done 15 multi-pulls in a banner very often, if ever. So,
right.
But I am much more.
Everyone's under 50K so far easily. We've got a system says 45K, final character says 29K, a loaded mix says 35K. I myself am at 50K. I believe Kriese said he's at the same, about 50K.
I'm at 47K, so I'm in the same ballpark. And what I want to say is that the Mercy system is very nice. It's a real safety net if you want to go for a specific weapon. But for most people, it's not going to kick in because spending that much on a single banner is pretty insane. I think the only person who's done that on this stream right now has been Mino.
Oh my god. If this system came a month and a half earlier, I could have saved half my gem stash. 145K I spent chasing Tidus EX because I'm sure you guys are sick of hearing about it, but I'm going to keep bringing it up. 145K could have gotten me 2 EXs guaranteed. Fuck Tidus EX. Even if it comes back on the Thing event, I am not I hate it.
Don't
now,
pull for it.
Forever. Yeah, but so some noteworthy things I want to bring up is first to talk about the implementation in JP, which is a little different than ours. So JP, so we have, so 15 pulls for the guaranteed EX, 5 pulls for a guaranteed Power Stone. That what JP has is they just got EX Awakening, and 10 pulls gets you a guaranteed rare material for those. So the equivalent of, say, high shards for us right now, but even rarer than high shards they need for the awakenings for their weapons. So 10 pulls gets them that. So I want to say, like, not only do they get more of a break, because we go from 5 pulls to 15 pulls. They do 5, 10, 15. But also, I think that this just is such a brilliant system, because you can actually pay to win in JP now, I feel like. Not only can you pay to get EXs guaranteed, but you can pay to awaken them and max them out. Right now, it's such a rare material, a lot of JP players are having trouble choosing which EX they want to awaken. But if you pay enough money, you can get all those materials and guarantee it. Not only is that brilliant, but also so many GL players I've talked to have said, I'm being baited into pulling more now. Like, even in our own Discord, a lot of people have said, you should pull 5 those G tokens, and you at least get a Power Stone out of it. People are being baited to pull.
So you don't hashtag, like, waste. Like,
that's
kind of silly because,
it is silly.
Potentially any one pull is a Power Stone, right? But
yes,
if you got 4, then Hey, but we do have some people. We do have some people on Twitch with over 100. I have Duffness with 165, Dangerous with 190. Macnol has over 300,000. So
son of a bitch. Macnol. Some of those have to be paid gems. Get out of saved free-to-play gems.
No one said they weren't paid gems, but he's got over 300,000.
Yeah. Okay. But I mean, so here's it's a brilliant system because people are pressured for such a 2 pull more, and that's why Mercy systems are so smart, because they seem like they're giving you a break, and they are to a small percentage of most players, as we're seeing on our Twitch chat, who don't save up 75k for a banner, want to pull 25k to get that guaranteed bonus or something. And I've seen so many people in the subreddit Discord and on Facebook groups complain about this, which I think is silly. They're saying, so bullshit, I pulled the EX in 3 pulls and now I just have 60 G tokens sitting there wasted. This is a dumb system. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is a view G tokens is a bonus. Like before this, we didn't have anything like this. If anything, this adds to it. But there's so many people see that their G tokens are added up to nothing, and I think it's just such a good psychological weapon for gacha games to field to pull more and claim.
I think the G token system is very clever because most of the pity systems in most gacha games are invisible. You know you're racking up a chance to get what you want, but you don't see that number actually going up. Here the G tokens are there. They are present on the banner. Every time you look at it, I have 80 G tokens now. One more pull and I can get a power stone. It allows you to pull more, and in retrospect, it makes a bring this so early to global because to pull more on banners because they see these extra tokens that they can be.
Yeah, and one of the conspiracy theory in subreddit Discord, hey, they must have brought this to like making them in JP. Like they probably introduced it for a month and made tons more money, and they were like, we got to release this in GL as soon as possible. Like we have to we have to rake it in.
Well, it just makes sense. It makes sense from about every business model you could think. There's no reason not to do this. There's no reason not to put up a large cap and say, if you want this, here it is. Here's how to get it. You know.
I also want to point out that when the G tokens were released in Japan, there was a huge surge in the subreddit asking for them to bring it to global immediately. They were like, please bring it to us. We want this mercy system.
Right.
It was the best of both worlds. Players wanted it. It was a win-win situation.
Best announcement of the stream, by the way. I thought the stream was going to be boring. Once that got announced, wow. Yeah. Go ahead.
Honestly, the big surprise for me was the early release of Arc 2 Chapter 1 story. I did not think that was coming this early, though it does make sense looking at the way they have to schedule the next several months to get it.
Yeah, I wouldn't call it early because from Interlude, so in JP they had a 3-month break between Chapter 11 and Interlude, which I think we got as well, right? 3 months?
2 months.
Okay. And then
it was 2. It's about every other month we've had a chapter. Yeah,
and then in JP, story chapters since Interlude has been every other month. Yeah. So we were due for it, right?
So yeah, Interlude.
We will be at about a month and a half.
Yeah,
when
Interlude was.
Interlude
was January 31st. Arc Chapter 1 or Arc 2 Chapter 1 is going to be March 14th. So a little quicker than normal. If you look, the last where was it? Chapter 11 was November 21st, and then it was almost to January 31st, so that was longer than 2 months between those two. So that was a bigger gap than we had previously, was 2 months in between Chapter 10 and 11. So we've been pretty much 2 months. So this is a little earlier. I think Kriese is right, than we would have normally expected. Which makes me think maybe there's a spring event at the end of March.
What I will tell you is that the reason this is happening, I've looked ahead and I'm breaking the veil. I actually do look at Japan's schedule, though I pretend not to for my analyses. They need to get Cecil out in Arc 2 Chapter 2 fast because he is a prominent character in the event and the stories involving several event characters that are coming up, Rosa being the first, and if he is not here, it will not make sense.
That's such a brilliant deduction. Also, Shara89 in our Twitch chat also makes an amazing point. He says, in Japan, story chapters have always been in the middle of the month. GL broke that, and it now looks like in Arc 2, they're starting to get back on track by releasing this chapter in the middle of the month, as JP has always done. And to piggyback on that, I feel like they definitely slow. They don't want to catch up to JP anymore. We're definitely going JP's pace now. 2 LCs, 2 event characters, a chapter. Looks like they're not even trying to squeeze in any extra LCs or character events now. We're going the exact same pace.
Yep.
JP is going now. And you know what? As I was talking to some JP players earlier today, I actually want this now because they're getting their new level of power creep, which is EX weapon away and bonus spheres, which is a new materia system we talked about last time. They're so uncertain on what's coming that I would like a couple of months foresight, because to recap really quick, bonus spheres you get when you fully awaken an EX weapon, and they're like materia. They give a bonus. Each character has a very specific one. You can only get one for fully awakening an EX weapon, and they're permanent once you're one-time use when you give it to somebody. So everyone in JP right now is scared to give away their bonus spheres because they only get one.
Yeah.
And you have no idea who's going to last how long now in this new level of power creep. So I love that we're getting the full.
You know, you have in Japan, you know, a lot of hype with a lot of new characters, a lot of very powerful characters, but we don't know, right, how long they're going to be that powerful and who's going to be brought back up, you know, with their EX Plus and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I agree. I think this pace is fine, and this kind of 2 events, 2 LCs, every other month, chapter, special events in between.
Yeah. I no longer have a strong desire to catch up to JP anymore. Let them do the grunt work. I don't mind anymore. Go ahead.
No, the one thing that's going to be interesting is the we're going to have some space in between level 60s all being finished and level 70s. And I don't know how much space they had between the end of the 60 era, the last awakening, and
they had several months.
The first level 70. So
well, level 70 started shortly after the last level 60 lost chapter, Rydia being the last one for them.
Yes.
It was almost immediately they got 70 awakenings once the last lost chapter character caught up, I think, is what I recall.
But yeah, no, that's true, but it was also 3 months after the last wave, because so they did waves, and then they only awakened 2 characters a month from the LCs starting with Kuja. Right.
But at the same time, they were also doing awakening reworks, which we can anticipate. There's going to be waves of character reworks during that span of time where we're not getting a new power creep.
Interesting.
From levels, we're getting a power creep from new weapons and new passive.
Yeah, but we are
Jared wants to
ahead.
say it was 2 months. Yeah, Sherry wants to say it was 2 months, and I say 2 months, 3 months, same thing. Not really the same thing, but close enough.
But yeah, we are basically gonna skip an entire wave of awakenings compared to Japan.
Oh yeah. Oh, well,
as of right now, because Japan had 9 waves, and as of right now, our wave number 7 will be Belthier. He's the only one left on Awakening Wave 7. So I imagine he might be added to the next or 2 more because he's not on any banners coming up, either LCs or
I have no doubt we're
going to
get 70 slightly earlier. No.
Maybe, but we also got 6 that. It wasn't until almost every 50 character was out that they dropped 60 on us. They held that back a lot longer.
Yeah.
And then they had to play catch-up with Awakening waves. That's the reason they introduced Awakening characters on Lost Chapters that weren't the featured character.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
We'll see what they did. I'm surprised they didn't awaken things in LC here. Japan had 2 awakenings in 2 awakening waves in a month. Because they have a Golden Week, which is their spring break, and during that month they actually did 2 waves of awakening. I don't think we'll get something like that.
No, probably not. Right?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
good call.
Well,
speaking of awakenings,
yes,
let's talk about awakenings. We have a new wave 6 in global of awakenings, including Papalamo, Waka, Yida, Lael, Setzer, and Yuri. And if you want to learn more about each of these in great detail, there is a wonderful, wonderful Reddit post by Kriese or Xerink, who is with us tonight. And I'm going to link that for those watching. Make sure that you show that post some love. And continue to follow Kriese and Xerink for all of his evaluations. But let's talk about each of those, if you would like to. Briefly, gentlemen. Awakening Wave number 6.
Sure. I have an MLB Papalimo, so I'll talk about him first, and then I'll let Mino do... Mino, are you okay?
Oh, yeah, sure. I was going to say, you want to introduce, and then we'll all give our opinion. We'll move on. Sure.
I think we should split up the awakenings. I'll do one, you do one. That way we're both talking a little bit, and then we'll give our takes on each of them after we talk about the specific.
All right, let's do it live.
Anyway, Papalimo, he was a strong mage in 50 when he first dropped. We got his 35 still early compared to Japan, so he had a lot of staying power. Especially for me, I got his weapons chasing lightning, and his awakening basically makes him do everything he does better. All of his abilities are now 2 hits. He gets Brave Plus and HP Plus versions of his attacks. He has much stronger potencies on all of his attacks. His passives give him a lot of boosts. Basically, everything he did before, he does better, is the simple way to put it. I think he's a solid mage now. He might not do the sheer damage of Beatrix in a single turn, but he is going to do a lot of damage, and he'll be able to do it for a lot longer than she will.
Okay. Mark, any thoughts?
Yeah, it's nice that he gets a Brave plus Fire and an HP plus Fire and Brave plus Ice, HP plus Ice with his unique buff. The interesting thing is now, once you use, he's got one more use of Fire than he does Ice. And if you use Fire and you have his Fire buff, he gets a Umbral Ice Plus ability, right? Am I correct on that? And so that gives him an extra buff, which is a magic buff, correct? Magic.
Yeah, correct. He gets a magic attack up. It's a generic variation of it. It's not very strong, but it's a little boost, and he gets it for 8 turns, which is longer than his special buffs, Astral Fire and Umbral Ice.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? What's the good? Like, if you're not worried about weaknesses or anything else, what's kind of the good strategy on how to use Papa?
Oh, I think that's easy. Shout out to FF14 players. I'm sure Shara in chat will appreciate this, but I think he gets an extra use of fire because that's how it is in FF14. That's how the rotation should start. Before getting into the nerdy specifics, basically in FF14, all black mages start with fire, then they move to ice, and then they alternate. And I think that's the same here. You want to go with fire so you get the huge attack and max brave boost. So when you use ice, that attack buff carries over to ice and caps it out more here. And then he gets the regen, and then he goes right back into fire. If you aren't worried about longevity, I think it should be fire, ice, etc. without worrying about weakness. To capitalize on that, the whole, as you said, the Brave Plus and HP Pluses of fire and ice let him stay in those longer if needed, because fire enforces the attack. You've got the elemental on the Braves. Fire HP is a Brave plus HP for more Brave damage. You switch to ice. Ice is Ice Brave, and the HP is a battery, just like Terra or Zidane, and just like Ice to passively raise the damage. I wrote ages ago in my Papalimo evaluation that I love his kit, his Awakening kit, because it's so true to how Black Mage plays in FF14 for anyone that plays FF14. And I really think they keep the rotation going to fire to ice and back. But I think I think he's only going to shine. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of hate for this, but I think he's only going to shine if he's hitting weakness. I think he won't be as good as, say, Vaughn if you're going into a neutral environment. And I really, really believe that. Supposedly in JP, he was the strongest magic DPS for a while. by exploiting weakness. But without the weakness, as we'll talk about in the Heretics coming up, he was less effective than Setzer and Vaughn in the Heretics for me, even though he had synergy, because he doesn't have overflow. He HP attack. Vaughn has 2 and debuffs, and Setzer had 3. How do you guys feel about that?
That's a very fair evaluation. It's pure damage. He has no overflow, which we're starting to see more and more often, which hurts him. He has no multiple HP attack triggers during attacks like Setzer and Vaughn now have, and that's going to limit his damage potential as a pure damage character. He can also only self-buff himself. He cannot debuff enemies. He has utility. Is the biggest thing holding him back, in my opinion.
He can also, the nice thing about him is he can also take almost any buff, though, since he doesn't do any self buffs. He can take advantage of anyone's buffs, right? And potentially help him quite a bit. And a good attack up, max brave up buff is not going to hurt Papa Limo.
Oh yeah, Papa Limo will work with just about any support that can provide offensive buffs. He will do great with them. The problem is that he's capped by his max brave.
Yep.
So yeah, and again, selfish DPS. We have a lot of selfish DPS right now. Right. So if you don't already have Papa Limo invested in, it's hard to recommend him.
Yeah, the last thing I want to add is because GL has such a screwed up schedule compared to JP, so when he released in JP, he was considered the last viable DPS, pure selfish DPS, in the battery launch meta. The last viable one. Now, I think he's going to have some competition because a lot of overflow characters have released early that can, like Beatrix, for example. I don't think he's going to dethrone Beatrix. And there are other characters as well who have plenty of overflow coming up. But
well, and many of these characters don't have EX weapons, and of course we're in an EX weapon era, so that's going to be always. Yeah. But he's gonna have his niche, and again, if you're hitting those weaknesses, he's going to be great against those weaknesses. So go ahead.
Out of 6 awakenings, 1 out of 6, 1 being the highest, how would you rate Papa personally? This is a fun little thing I wanted to try.
Well, 6 is the highest?
1 is the highest.
1 is the highest.
So first place to 6th place, where would you rate Papa in this awakening?
Oh, in this list. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think I would rate him as number...
That's pretty... I think I want it. What about you, Mark?
What did you say, 3 or 4?
He said 3.
Yeah, I'm trying to look who's on here.
So we have Papa, Setzer, Lael, Ida, Yuri, and help me out here. Waka.
Well, I know who's last, and I know who's first. So
if you want me to stall for you, I can give you my.
No, I think definitely 3 or 4. It's hard because he's the first one we're rating, but yeah, he's in the middle somewhere. Yep.
I am going to go with 3 and 4 is such a toss-up. So I'm going to take the controversial route and go 4. I think Papa is 4 for me. I still think he's I just think this is such a good wave that I'm ranking Papa 4.
I agree with you completely. This is a very tough wave to rate because so many of the characters on this are so good, and I'm really trying to decide what makes them better here, aside from first and last.
Right. All right, so next is Waka. Go ahead, Kriese.
Waka.
Oh shit, we're splitting it. Am I doing Waka? I think Mark should do Waka.
I have my max limit broke 60-60 Waka, so I can do Waka certainly.
All right, let's do Waka. Talk us through.
So what's Waka get? Let me pull up. What Waka's doing here, since he's not the very end of the thing. Waka's blue crystals. Oh, blue crystals! But I awakened him anyway. I don't have any blue crystals left, but I do have some things. So, Waka gets a passive which gives him a little attack buff. He also gets and I love this. And if you don't love this, I don't know, go eat sin or something. Go get the sin toxins on you, I guess. No, he gets a great passive at level 58 called Playing Coach, which slightly raises party's initial brave, max brave attack, defense, and speed while he's buffed. 20% to all of those abilities. That is 5 CP well spent. That is a great invisible aura for Waka. And of course, it's kind of cool with his character because he is the coach, right?
Yeah.
So he also gets some buffs to his ability. Obviously, Dark Attack Extend. The Blind gets an additional 1 turn and a HP attack, so that helps Dark Attack a lot. Blind becomes better. There is an HP attack, and his Brave Attack becomes Brave Attack Plus, and Brave Attack Plus is just a normal Brave Attack, just stronger than normal. And then he gets Great Daring extension, which increases Great Daring's uses by 1, grants Brave gain to all parties. So when Waka used Great Daring, he gets tons of Brave. Now that is a party battery for everybody. I don't think everyone gets as much as he does, but they get some. Like it's like the reverse of Squall, right? He gets a whole bunch of Brave, and everybody else gets a little bit of Brave. But it's nice. And then that also triggers an HP attack. So Waka had a couple problems. He basically, let's say, he had 3 problems going into his awakening. Neither of his attacks did HP attacks. Both of them were Brave. Dark Attack was Brave. Great Daring was Brave. Just Brave Generation. So those are his 2 big deep problems. Those are both solved. He then gets some party auras. The only other problem Waka has is Waka's buffs that he gives himself, and he gives himself these crazy massive buffs. They are not unique buffs, so they're generic buffs, which mean they can be ripped off if you're using any other support character like Selphie, Kate Sith, Rem, whoever else you're going to get here moving forward. And they're not guaranteed. So there's a chance you do not get all the buffs. Although with his weapon, it seems pretty consistent that you get all of his buffs. Is it 4 or 5 buffs that he can give himself?
Shoot.
It is 4.
Okay.
It seems, in my experience playing with him fully awakened, and his awakening really doesn't do anything to increase the likelihood of his buffs. Correct me if I'm wrong. But so I guess just with his weapon, the 35 CP, he does seem to frequently get all 4 of his buffs.
Yes.
So to break it down, he has a 90% chance to get each of his buffs as a separate chance.
Yes.
And because when there's gambler characters like Setzer in the game, they give the gambling dynamic to the Blitzball.
Yeah.
Well, he was a gambler in his game slots. But also quick correction. I don't want to give the same amount of Brave to everybody. It's not. Just to correct.
He gives the same amount of Brave to everybody?
Yes.
Oh.
So what he gets, everyone else gets too.
Oh, okay.
The only thing his extension does is make everything AoE. So if his attack buff procs on himself, everyone. If his max Brave buff procs, everyone gets it. If his and his Brave. Do you have anything to add on to that?
I think the key points were hit. He is much more turn efficient. He brings a lot of party utility. He now has a Brave battery. His blind lasts longer. I think the biggest problem with Waka is that he is a gambler.
Yeah.
You have a chance of not getting any buffs, and while leveling him, I've had this case where Great Daring, even with his 35 CP, does not trigger any buffs, and it sucks. And I've had instances where I use Dark Attack, and Blind does nothing for a turn, and that.
I mean, Mark covered it very fairly. I have nothing else to add other than that he might clash. Now, to play devil's advocate again, so he might clash with some buffers because his generic buffs cancel everyone else's buffs, right?
Yeah.
It might make people lose some effectiveness, like Kate. Kate has a lot of generic attack and max Brave. If you pair them with Waka, then their buffs clash like crazy. And also, I don't like that everything's an HP attack now. I don't like that Waka does great daring, gives batteries everyone, and then HP attacks because it's hard to set up for a launch meta with Lael if he's always empty. If everything he always does leaves him empty on Brave, it's harder for him
not
to work in a
everything's
launch.
about launch meta, Mino. Get
I
over
know,
it.
but I'm saying that
You're
is
right.
going to be
No,
the
you're
meta.
right. You're right. Yeah.
It is the meta,
Right.
so it clashes with the meta. You're right that there's other options. Like, the fact that it clashes with the meta has to be said. That has to be brought to people's.
Yeah, I mean, the launch meta is starting to come into play, and we'll get to it when we get to Lael, but there's still other options out there, at least until we talk about the heretics, and we'll get to that later.
All right, so on the scale of 1 to 6, we're going to put Waka at 3 if we put Pablamo at 4. Is that?
I'll go first. I put him at 3. Yeah, for Papa's 4, just because he can battery and buff, and I personally prefer team players over selfish DPS.
And he does.
That's the only reason I had to. In my head, they were fighting for 3rd and 4th, very close. And although Papa's a better character by himself, I'm giving it to Waka for his AOE buffs and battery.
Waka's buffs aren't AOE. It's just his battery.
Yeah, no, the buffs are not AOE, just the battery. He
has the
auras.
passive
yeah,
aura.
He's got auras.
Right? Oh, all right. Okay, auras and battery is what I meant.
Yeah.
My bad.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah. I fucked up, guys.
I am not going to be as generous. I do not like percent chances in this game. Chances for things to fail, chances for things to succeed. So I'm rating Waka as a 5. He's still really good, but it is going to suck when he backfires on you. He's going to suck.
I mean, like, so it's not meta, but I always enjoyed that about gambler characters. Even in the original FFs, that's what it was. They're either really good or really bad.
Well, let me tell you, I usually left the gambler characters out of my parties until like the 4th or 5th playthrough because I hated the gambling.
Setzer is such a good character in 6, though, in my opinion. But yeah, I understand.
All right, so who's next? We've got through.
Did you give a rating, Mark?
Yeah, I put him at 3.
Oh, okay. Next on our outline is Eat. Oh, son of a bitch! That's my turn, isn't it? All right,
you gotta suck it. We discussed.
Well, I mean, like, so none of us hosts awakened Ida, so I'm going to preface this with we're talking out of our ass on theory, but I've talked to plenty of people who did try to awaken Ida, and nobody was happy about it.
Nope.
So I feel comfortable saying that Ida. So let's go over what she gets really quick. Oh my God.
I'm going to preface this by saying she gets an awakening passive, and then she gets another awakening passive that's just a better version of that awakening passive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible.
Across the board, very basic stuff. She gets more charges on her skills. She gets some auras, a buff boost where her max brave increases while she's buffed. So what she gets is basic potency increase in snap punch, an increase in the buffs. So attack up becomes 60% from 40. Speed is still a medium up. And when attacking a target that isn't targeting her, she gets she does critical brave damage at 100% rate. So she does almost it's like a mighty, more damage to characters not facing her, which is supposed to be a throwback to FF14 again, where you do more damage as a monk depending on where the target's facing. So that's a nice little throwback, not that important. I think everyone can agree doing more damage to someone not attacking you is probably the least reliable and shittiest mechanic in DFFOO, because I never pay attention to it.
The problem is, and I'm sorry I'm interjecting, but I'm just going to be down on Ida the whole way through. Critical hits are guaranteed if the target is broken. You're going to be hitting a lot of broken targets, so that conditional is worthless in many situations.
I mean, and then it gives her a brave plus. Most brave pluses, if we don't specify at this point, just like Waka's, it's just 150% potency. I mean, most of the time you're not going to be using that anyways. The only noticeable thing I'll say her awakening gives her is that her second skill, Touch of Death, is a poison and a sap in one move. And that stays unique in the game so far. Poison and sap in one move is a pretty big deal. It's 2 damage over times on a target right before they attack. So if she has any niche at all, I would say is drastically reducing Brave before the enemy acts. But guaranteed sap, guaranteed poison. I like both. She gets both, but that's all I can give her. I don't think it's enough to put her on your team. It's not significant enough to really guarantee it. And she gets an HP attack on her second ability if it's 80% of max Brave or higher. That's
so on a scale of 1 to 10, or 1 to 6,
she is
1 to 6.
She is 6 out of 6 for me.
She is
sadly.
number 6, I think.
I haven't talked to anybody that is happy with awakening her, especially compared to all her amazing banner mates. Just. Oof.
I will agree with Mino here. I'm also giving her a 6. She's a selfish DPS who theoretically provides some okay debuffs, but I think I called it out on the Discord before the Awakening Wave even dropped. Her poison is currently the worst poison in the game.
Oh, it's terrible.
Maybe it's equal to Thancred's now, but you pair with any other poison character, that poison is better on that character.
Yep.
Anything to add, Mark?
No, she's the worst. So, moving on, is Lael, and this would be Kriese if you want to bring us through Lele.
Oh boy, the person who is not awakened Lael gets to talk about
him. I'll take it, and you can take your.
I'll do Yuri and Setzer. I can do them. You do Lael.
Okay. So Lael is the most hyped character, part of the Kate Selfie Lael meta. That was a thing in JP. That will probably be a thing for a lot less in Global because Kate was purposely pushed back from Selfie. Took longer to release from Selfie than they did in JP. And Lael took longer to release from Kate. And so I feel like
we are likely 1 month away from Kuja. So
they super pushed this back on purpose to delay, because I know personally too, speaking, is that the JP regretted how long this comp reigned, and they wanted to minimize it as much as possible. So enjoy it while you can. Let's see if it's even needed, because if they lower score requirements, maybe not. For this Heretic, though, you definitely needed Lael. But, wow, Lael is a powerhouse. So, he gets, his first ability becomes AoE, so it lowers cuts in half the chase unit requirements for all enemies on the field, and it does very good Brave Shave, too. So, he's likely to cap on hitting 2 or 3 targets, because he hits decently hard. He even gives himself magic attack up, like Lael hits really hard for a support character. Then his to top it all off, the beauty is if you have the 35 CP and the extension to his second ability, it not only gives a hefty amount of his max Brave as a battery to his teammates, it also hits pretty hard, so you're likely to break the target. Almost guarantees a launch if the first ability's debuff is on, and it delays the enemy's turn by 1, so that you can almost set up the perfect launch guaranteed. Because even if Lael is the last person to go, if he hits with his second ability, he'll guarantee a launch with 1 ally follow-up. If he breaks the target and hits him with the second ability, he guarantees a full launch non-stop and gives them battery to deal the extra damage. Obviously, you summon Pandemonium to double down on this effect, and for the longest time in JP, and as I found in these Heretic quests, is you summon a friend Lael and have your own Lael, and then summon Pandemonium, and you just go to town. You just spam the second ability, and you're just ping-ponging the enemy back and forth. It's ridiculous. I scored 100k over the score challenge for Rising, which we'll get to, but he batteries on his Brave Plus just like Kate Sith, so he has no downsides. Oh, he has one downside, and it's the reason why out of Kate, Selphie, and Lael, he's actually the first to become obsolete when the Kuja era comes in. Because to combat the battery launch meta, enemies started coming out in with insane brave that you could not ignore anymore. You had to shave. And Lael as a brave shaver is not that strong because he only has single hit attacks, and that starts to catch up to him very soon. Kate, Selphie, Lael as a team is very bad at brave shaving, and that's how they meet their downfall. Kriese, do you have anything to add to that?
I will say that when I first looked at and examined Lael's awakening passes specifically, they were relatively unremarkable. He gets generic things that you expect from any character. Not large potency boosts, some nice little kickers, but nothing amazing, which just talks to how amazing Lael's base kit was with his weapons.
Yeah.
All his awakening did was bring him into the 60 era, and that's all he really needed. Some nice stat buffs and a nice little kicker here and there that turned him from okay to amazing. I will say that, kind of like you, he is going to be relatively short-lived, I think. As soon as he no longer is effective at Brave shaving and Brave becomes impossible to ignore, he will fall off fast. But for now, he is really strong with the right party setup.
Mark, you got anything?
Well, yeah, my Laels, I actually limit broke and fully awakened 5 of these 6 characters. So, yeah, I think Lael's the best. We've been waiting for him for a while. Now we have him. We're going to be able to use him. Yeah, and we'll talk more about that as weeks and months come. So, if you have some weapon tokens laying around and you didn't pick up Lael, or if you're looking to draw on a banner, you know, it might not hurt.
Before we move on,
yeah,
one thing to mention: if you are planning to weapon token Lael, he needs his 15 CP to guarantee the force debuff.
Yes, he needs
Do not
both
get his
of his
35
weapons.
And he needs his 35 to be effective.
He needs
I'll talk
both of
about
them.
it later, but I tried to run 15 only.
Nope,
That
he
did
needs
not
both
work.
of them. He needs both
He
of
needs
his weapons.
both. For sure, cannot run him with
He
one
doesn't
weapon.
need an EX weapon, but he does need both. Just like Selphie and Kate, he needs both of his weapons to be particularly effective. More so than both of them, probably. So that brings us. Yeah, so he's 1 out of 6,
rating.
right? I think
1 out of 6.
1 out of 6.
1 out of 6.
I'm going to say probably out of the 3 of us, I'm the most iffy on him being the 1 out of 6.
You unanimously our #1 pick for this wave.
That brings us to Setzer, and I guess it's my turn to cover him if Kriese is going to take Yuri. So Setzer, I also have him fully maxed out because of my tickets expenditures for Von EX. So finally he's max limit broke. I've had Setzer forever, but I've never had him MLB'd because I haven't had the power tokens to use on him. So, or not power. What are the so power tokens are for weapons. What are the Power stones to MLB
Power
weapons.
Power stones to MLB. Yeah, power stones to MLB.
Confusing.
Power
Too
orbs to
confusing.
level them.
Too confusing.
Why did you do this, Global? They were called weapon tokens in JP, and now we have a third power currency.
Why
Why
not
did
weapon
you do
tokens?
this?
Anyway, so he gets a max brave boost and attack boost while he's buffed. He also gets a party aura, max brave and speed, well buffed. So that's cool. Freeze Joker, which is his unique ability to freeze the brave generation of enemies. He gets additional use of that. That becomes more powerful. It triggers an HP attack. It's AoE, but if you use it against one target, it becomes a little bit more powerful. So that becomes much more useful, and he gets an additional use of it, which is nice because he only had, 2 uses of it before? And so now
2 uses beforehand, yeah.
So now he's up to 3, so that makes it actually considerably more useful. And then red card, this is great. I don't know if you guys have had time to play with this, but red card can now do a ridiculous amount of damage. The reason being that before red card was a 9-hit brave attack, right? So it's a 9-hit brave ranged brave attack. Now red card is exceptionally more powerful, but it triggers an HP attack after every 3 brave hits. So it's brave, 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 HP, brave, 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 HP, brave, 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 HP. So it is a triple HP attack on a 1 character use, which is really pretty cool, I think. again, he's not the most broken character without his EX, but he does become a lot cooler with these little boosts that he is going to get. So both of his abilities become a little cooler. Both of them are now HP attacks. He gets a few buffs in between. So I really like him, of course, especially as we're doing Heretics and Chaos and Cosmos, where you have characters, things that are going to be weak to ranged. He's going to be great to have against anything that's weak to ranged. He's also going to have that power that allows him to shut down Brave generation. So if you're having issues with enemies that are generating a ton of Brave real quick, he's going to be able to deal with that in a limited respect. He has 3 uses of his ability. So other thoughts on Setzer?
Setzer is really good, and I just noticed looking at my evaluation, I forgot to put something in the Freeze Joker ability. That is also a battery now with with his Awakening. Whoops.
Yeah.
So Setzer now with Freeze Joker is a party battery.
Yeah.
So that's just, I mean, he hits hard with Red Card. He does HP attacks with both abilities. He has an amazing Brave Plus. And one nifty thing about Setzer is because both of his weapon passives are so bad, he is probably a character that is the least dependent upon them to do.
Whoa. I want to defend his 35 CP. It delays a turn on every red card.
Yes.
That really helped me out in a lot. Like, pair him with Lael, that set up so many launches.
So,
really good.
Compare Setzer's 35 CP passive to Lael's 35 CP passive.
Okay.
One turn delay is all it does versus Party Battery, potency boost, increased chase units on attack. It's no competition.
So you are saying
if you have to choose one weapon, get Lael's. Do not get.
You are saying, besides the fact that he won't have he actually needs a weapon that can generate good Brave and attack, right? As an actual weapon for stats, he actually does not need his passives. Like, his passives are not that good for his weapons, which is, much different than the characters we were just talking about, who are desperate for their passives. So that's
so
cool.
I will say that if you want to awaken a Black Crystal character and you don't have any good weapons for anyone, choose Setzer. He will still do work even without his weapons.
Yeah.
He'll be better with his weapons, but he'll still be solid without them. And with that in mind, I also want to touch on that Freeze is still a unique debuff in the game. No one's gotten that mechanic. The closest is Kefka with his HP Silence, which is great, but Kefka's going to be level 50 for a very long time still. So if you need someone to shut down Brave Generation or HP attacks, Setzer is going to be great for that.
Yeah. Only thing I had to add, you guys covered it thoroughly again, is that I don't know if they're locked into this gimmick or what, that Setzer has very powerful abilities, but very small uses, because his stupid-ass fucking 50 passive is all in, where his stats increased by 30% across the board when he runs out of stats. I feel like they want that to see use, so they give him such tiny amounts of charges. I mean, on the plus side, his abilities are amazing. Like Kriese said, there's no replacing Brave Freeze. And I think that's going to be relevant for a long time. Well, super niche move, super useful. Go ahead.
I don't want to get off topic too far, but we were talking in Discord earlier. We're all kind of locked into a few characters. We have a few really good characters, and now you're going to have this launch meta that you can take advantage of. This game still has a lot of unique characters that you can use in unique ways to actually get through content. For example, we didn't talk about it, but for Reminiscence 4, someone actually did a run with Yuffie. Well, I guess she is awakened, isn't she? Or she's not awakened yet. No, she's not awakened. Non-awakened Yuffie, they stole, because Yuffie has this weird, unique ability where she can steal buffs or steal debuffs and then throw them on other people, right? So she used it to, this player used it to steal Kefka's debuff, which lowers max HP, and they threw that on the final boss in that event to lower the Ultima's max HP. Now, it was super creative, and we're going to have that in the show notes, that run, because it's so fun to watch. But there's tons of characters like that in this game that we kind of get fixed into a few characters when, really, if you're actually looking at the entire field, there are options if you actually think about it, spend some time. And that's why, the first day or two when a new event drops, like these new heretics, like everybody freaks out. But, after a few days, a week, you actually start seeing some creative party tactics to get these scores. So, and figure out ways to shut down these bosses. So Setzer's definitely one of those characters that can fall into that niche. So I would rate him on number 2 of this Awakening.
I think I'm in agreement too. Number 2.
Unanimous 2.
And that brings us
Last
to
character.
Kriese and Yuri.
Yuri was one of the last story characters that did not come of his awakening, and he had the unique mechanic pre-awakening that he relied heavily on his unique buff called Chalinka's Prayer. If he did not have Chalinka's Prayer up, he basically had bad negative effects associated with all of his abilities. He would either drain health or lose all his brave before the ability would trigger. Once Chalinka's prayer was active, he'd be fine. Upside, Yuri does a lot of damage now. He has a 400 potency attack with Relic Crystal, and Crystal Power is now an AoE gravity attack plus brave attack plus HP attack. So Yuri will hit very, very hard now. Along with that, he has passives that increase his attack and speed while Chalinka's Prayer is active. I awoke him. I've leveled him to 60. I used him for the lower level heretics, and I will say that in general, he is a terrifying force to behold when he works right. If you have trouble keeping up Chalinka's Prayer, he's going to lose half of his health very quickly if you accidentally use Crystal Power. But other than that, yeah, he's strong, but he's also kind of touched on it earlier. His Brave melee, his Crystal Power attack is a range type, and Power of the Crystal, Relic Crystal is magic type, Magic Holy. So he has trouble manipulating a specific weakness, but he can hit a lot of different things in the process. Oh, and he also has Brave Overflow on Crystal Power.
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts, Mark?
No, I have Yuri fully awakened. I do not have him max limit broke. I am interested. I was interested in using him before. I am still interested in using him. He's going to be number 5 on my list, but I think 3, 4, and 5 are real close together. I think there's a big gap between 5 and 6, and I think there's a pretty big gap between 1, 2, and 3, 4, and 5. So I think 1 and 2, Lael and Setzer are kind of the winners. I think Waka, Papa, and Yuri are all fairly good options and good options to awaken, and I think poor Yida is garbage. But, it's not her fault.
Very, very fair assessment. I'm also going to say 5 out of 6. I'll say that everyone I've seen talk about Yuri that chose to awaken him said they were pleasantly surprised that he's actually quote-unquote playable. None of them got the required scores for the event with Yuri, but they say that he's not the meme character that many people make him out to be, and I'll take that as a victory.
Oh yeah, I agree. I don't know if Yuri's going to be a mainstay in any of my parties, even fully awoken and nearly MLB, but he hits hard, and what he does really well, which is the reason I'm ranking him as number 4. But similar to Mark, I think 1 and 2 are really the takeaways here is the best. 3, 4 close, which for Yuri and Waka, and Ida was just.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, I'm not sure how often I'm going to use Papalymo, Waka, or Yuri. They may fly in here and there, but they're probably not going to be on my top roster. Setzer and Lael are much more likely to be there and for hard content. So
yes.
And
Same, I agree.
I'll never use
I'm
Yida,
tempted to go
so.
back and get Yuri's 15 CP now because I don't have it, despite.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving from Awakenings, we do have a couple of banners from that, and we can talk about those briefly. The first banner is...
They stacked these Vaughn X banners so well.
Yeah,
I don't know what they were thinking after last Awakening banners being so weird. This one is like the hypest banner they've ever released, considering what people were excited.
So people have been talking about Vaughn EX for a long time, and on top of that, you have Setzer, Papa, and Lael. So that banner's the one you'll want to draw on, as opposed to the other banner, which is Prish, Waka, Yeda, and Yuri. If you're, I know a few of you have drawn for Prish EX. You're big Prish fans. Her EX makes her better, right? It is not a terrible EX. It's not the greatest EX. I don't know how much detail we want to go into it, but
I'll touch on Prish EX quickly.
Yeah, please.
Do you want me to do?
Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
Prish EX is honestly really amazing. Despite it having a relatively slow recast speed, it ignores defense. It's a 600% attack potency hit. It can max brave overflow up to 200%. Every time Prish uses it, she is going to do a lot of damage. And that really helps her viability because one of her problems was she hit okay, she batteried herself okay, turn efficiency was not great. Kick basically brings her into viability now. It makes her a good character.
Yeah.
The problem is that her banner is also paired with characters like Waka, who's iffy, and Ida, who's just...
Yeah. It's not a great banner for Prish's EX. I like Prish. I have her fully limit broke, and I have her fully awaken. I wouldn't hate having her EX weapon, but yeah, I'm certainly not going to be pulling on it. That brings us to Vaughn's EX, which, you know, I don't think it's the Demon's Bane. I don't think it's the world-breaking EX, but it basically gives him another ability. The ability is Pyroclasm, so now he has a fire attack. It does able to do overflow, and it is AoE. It does some splash damage. And what else does it do? It's
That's it.
another
some overflow and some splash.
Yeah, I mean, it's another ability. And so now he has, you know, a third option.
I'll say this. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. We're probably going to be attacked for this, but messing with an X-less Vaughn in these heretics, when he has synergy, I can say that I don't think Vaughn's viable without his EX anymore. Full stop. Without his EX, he just does not have the longevity for these fights anymore, period. Because Vaughn has no Brave Plus, no HP Plus. He is useless without his abilities. So without the EX, he has 12 turns of usefulness, and then he's dead in the water. Complete dead weight, period.
I agree with that.
10
Vaughn
turns, right?
is coming up to the problem.
Oh, yeah, you're right, 10 turns.
10 turns is no longer enough. Terra's good, hitting that same problem for people still using Terra. Squall's hitting that problem for people still using Squall. They rely so heavily on their abilities, and they have so few of them that once they run out, they're done. And Vaughn is at that point. Without his EX, he runs out fast. He's fast, and he burns through his abilities faster than almost any other character on the roster.
100% agree. So what I think is Vaughn's EX isn't amazing, but it lets you play as Vaughn a little longer.
Right.
Otherwise, forget it. He's dead. He's dead and he's not coming back. Even with his JP rework, he has not gotten off the bench. So if you're a Vaughn fan, get that EX. Otherwise, oof.
So did either of you get either of these EXs?
Nope.
I put about 15, 20 tickets on the Vaughn EX banner just to see if I get lucky. I got a Warrior of Light off banner, so that's what my luck is. Although I can't complain too much because I got very lucky on the last month.
I put about 10 times that number of tickets on this banner, and yeah, so but I have everybody else max limit broke, so I'm not complaining too bad about that. Yeah, so moving on from there, next week we're gonna. I guess we can talk about the heretics, right? We do have heretic quests. They are. Let me pull them up
Really
here.
quickly, yeah. Let's go over 'em.
Yeah,
What are your
yeah.
experiences?
Just real quickly, I was going to be playing these for you if you were able to watch, but since we don't have the video running, Power and Magic Chasm Catalyst, which is of course the quest level 40 and 60, real easy, and the Rising, which are the 70s. This one's a little different, there where you have a level 100 and then an EX 110. So this is our first quest level 110, right? The last heretics did not have one of these. Am I correct in that?
I think so. I
Yeah,
was
I'm
not
not
tracking
100%.
that.
I
Kriese,
think the last round of heretic quest we had did not have an EX like this,
Right.
or it had a level 100 but no EX after it. I don't remember exactly. There was something as the final difficulty, but there
Sure.
wasn't two difficulty things.
So if you don't know how heretics work, you need to use different characters unless you're using the synergy characters. If you use the synergy characters, you can keep using them for the first four. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4 waves. If you don't use synergy characters, for example, in Power and Fire Chasm, I used Auron, Selfie, and Squall, so they were locked out for the other 3. But then everybody gets unlocked if you get perfect on the first 4 for Power and Magic Chasm Rising and Power and Magic Chasm Rising EX. The last 2 battles are the same bosses. The EX is just more difficult bosses. Now, this is different because we have score requirements for the level 100. So there are missions up to 220,000 score on the level 100. There are no missions for the EX except clear and complete, and the score requirement is 190 for just the normal score for that. I was
oh. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you
Oh,
gonna say?
I wanted to touch on this. This is how Cosmos was introduced to JP, where there's just a clear and a complete, and all
Yeah.
you get is 3 tickets for a clear, 3 tickets for a complete. That's it. That's how Cosmos was introduced for the longest time. And I can't believe it. Is this like an early test for Cosmos, I feel like? Like, are we getting a taste of Cosmos this early? Or it's just an extra difficulty where all you have to worry about is getting a clear and a complete. That's it. Just for tickets, just for show. Like,
Yeah.
how are GL players feeling about this?
That is
I would say that's a fair comparison because it's a relatively tight score requirement. It's not impossible for the EX, but it's a tight score requirement considering the fights and how challenging they are. I will say that, in my opinion, this is the hardest set of fights we've had in the last couple of months of content.
For sure.
I agree, yeah. I was just able to do them briefly. So the first 4, the first one is Magic, Fire, and Ice. So you have bosses that are weak to Magic, Fire, and Ice. Second one, Magic and Holy, bosses that are weak to Magic and Holy. If we didn't say the 6 Awakening characters, Vaughn and Preach, have synergy. Then Power and Fire, Melee and Fire, and then Range and Wind weakness. For the final bosses, you have to do the Turtle, who's a pain in the butt because he immediately goes into his shell, right? The Turtle is weak to Magic, Fire, and Ice. Yeah?
The Turtle can instantly kill you if you get bad turn order.
Yep. Sure did. Yep. Had that happen the first time I did that. He one-shotted Selfie. So that was awesome for that. The second, there's going to be some resets, are the Ghost Brothers, the ones where you have to kill the 2 side ghosts to be able to attack the middle ghost. They're weak to Holy and Magic. Then you have 3 Mankins, the great team of Ramza, Furion, Aerith, where if we were using them, we would get destroyed, but against us, they're pretty powerful. They're all weak to Fire and Melee. And then you have 2 of the Iguanins, which are weak to Earth, Wind, Holy, and Ranged. And it's a little bit challenging. So I brought, I've only done the Power and Magic Chasm Rising once, and I brought Lael, Selfie, and Kate Sith just to try it out. I did not bring a friend Lael. I should have. I didn't have one in the queue, so I'm not sure who I brought. Maybe a Squall friend for the Mankins. And I got 215. I did not get the 220,000, so... I'm also not really used to doing the launch mechanic, so I need to kind of work on that a little bit. But what did you guys do if you've had time to play with it?
Kriese, you said you took your standard team, right? I wanted to ask since before the show, but this is the perfect timing. What is your standard team?
Currently, since Garnet lost chapter dropped, my standard team has been Ramza X, Garnet X, and Beatrix X, because I realized during the Garnet lost chapter that while Selfie works okay for this team, both Beatrix and Garnet benefit massively from Ramza's generic buffs. And so this team has gotten me completions on everything that has come out since Garnet lost chapter up until now, so far. So for the Rising, I brought this team to try it out, and I did not meet the turn requirement for completion. I was at 62 turns out instead of the 60 needed, and my score on my first try was 148,000 for the Rising.
Rough.
So I was a little under. And for the EX fight, I was able to give it a shot before the stream started. I got the turn requirement. I was around 72 turns, but my score was only 154,000 out of the 190,000 needed. So this is the first time my team has come across a wall where I'm so far off from the requirements, I'm going to have to figure out a new strategy or figure out something completely different to do with.
Yeah, it's a good team, too, so I'm really surprising it missed the mark by that much.
Well,
it sounds like a team with a lot of synergy.
Where did you get caught up? Because remember, one of the issues with this event is you need different types of damage dealing, and you in that particular team, you had Ramza with melee, and then magic, so no ranged, and obviously no elemental besides lightning, which nobody got lightning and water, right? Which nobody hit. So where do you think you lost turns, Kriese?
On the EX, because I watched that more carefully before the stream, the turns I was most pressed on were the early waves. And then, because I had to use so many resources early, the mannequin wave ended up to be the most dangerous. So on my clear of the EX, I brought a friend Lael, Bahamut Summon, because Lael could only work for so long and I don't have launch mechanics beyond that. And I decided to bring Lael as soon as the turtle went into its shell in the first wave. It replaced Garnet. So I had Beatrix using St. Cloth and Ramza just generating Brave and just triggering launches back to back. So Lael got me through that, and then Garnet came back in had to summon before the go ads to avoid getting the ads backed and wasting more turns. So I had one turn of Bahamut going into the mannequins, which caused problems because once Ramza galvanized the other mannequins, I had to do a lot of resets because Furion could go from broken to enough brave to HP attack kill a character several times before I got the right turn order and the right order of events to get through that without a death. The Igions were a joke. I was fine with them.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mino, what did you do?
It's interesting how we had such different experiences, and I had a very different experience with Discord chat too, because everyone in our Discord knows that I was scrambling to try the battle this morning. I didn't get lucky enough to pull a Lael 35, a Vaughn EX, or a Ramza EX, and I'm gonna challenge that right now. This is one day after the event. I hope to God I'm proven wrong in the 2 weeks this event lasts. And maybe people on the stream can call me out right now. But I asked for help in a lot of different areas, and everyone's party either involved a Lael 35, a Vaughn EX, or a Ramza EX. There has been no exceptions. Even right now in chat, I'm seeing people say Lael 35. And unless someone shows me a team with no Lael 35, no Ramza EX, no Vaughn EX, I am convinced that this is a very tight score to hit, because I tried 20 different combos for these fights, and I got close. With just a Lael 15 only MLB, I hit within 5k of the score target for both, but I couldn't pass it, and I tried resetting lots of plays. And on our Discord, I kept saying, oh, should I weapon token for the Lael 35? And people were saying, no, be patient. you know, Kane's coming up, Lael's on that. You can pull more on this banner. There's going to be more strategies coming out in the next 2 weeks that this event is up. But I tried so many times throughout work. I did very little work today at work. And
Thanks for listening, Mino's bosses.
Yeah, so I just kept getting within 5 to 7K of the score, and I couldn't beat it. And I was so upset. Tried Vaughn, no EX. He just ran out of skills. Vaughn supports, Setzer supports. They all came close. Finally, I weapon token for Lael's 35. 0 LB, Lael's 35s. The only change I made, and I slaughtered both. I got 210K on the EX. I got 280K on the 100, and the only difference was that my Lael now had a 35. Like that, we're talking about how big a 35 makes a difference. That is huge. A 0 LB 35 got me almost 100K more score than I could get without it. And it was just a joke afterwards. Oh, did you have something to say?
I just want to say that this might just be we kind of touched on this in the pre-show. We didn't want to talk about it too much, but it's clear that some of these scores for this heretic were geared around launches because Lael was synergy. Hopefully that does not continue for future events where Lael is not synergy and we do not see the launch and chase meta take off because that's the only way to get score. We'll see.
So you brought who did you bring with Lael, Mino?
I did Kate, Beatrix, Lael.
Oh, okay.
Was the team that destroyed both scores. And I promised Manta to bring this up, actually. Manta, our old guest host, he said, he told me, make sure you mention that the possible downside of us getting the G tokens, the Mercy system, so early is that content might be tuned up to assume that we can guarantee any weapon we need.
Yeah, there you go.
So I don't know if this is actually the case, but he said that that's something to keep in mind. Are we going to see higher difficulty because it is easier to get weapons now with weapon tokens and Mercy? Yeah, go ahead.
Because Macnol just called this out, and it ties into what you said before, Mino. Macnol currently has a call to arms project on the subreddit.
Yes.
Hopefully Mark can link that in the show notes. But he's looking for people to post their videos of doing the EX and hopefully showing videos where they highlight characters that are outside the current quote-unquote meta characters like Beatrix, Catesif, Selphie, and Lael. So if you think you can do it and you have a way to record videos of doing the encounter, bring it up, show us. We're excited to see what people can do with their creativity.
Right. So I also want to add to that call. Anyone can show us hosts on our Discord or post to the comments of wherever you're watching this, YouTube or whatever. If you can get a clear without Vaughn EX, Ramza EX, and Lael 35, I'm super interested. I know it's only been 24 hours since the event dropped, but I searched frantically for it on the subreddit, on the main Discord, on several streamers' Discord. Nobody.
Have you seen clears without Lael?
Without Lael 35?
Yeah, without Lael period.
Okay, yeah, without Lael period. But I'm saying even if
you
have
you seen any clears without Lael?
Yes, with Vaughn EX and Ramza EX. They've cleared without Lael.
Okay, good.
Because through pure damage. Like if you have Vaughn EX, he has the longevity to just throw nuke after nuke.
Yeah, and he's buffed. Right, he's buffed. So
Yeah. And with Ramza EX, the argument is that Ramza is super good for this EX. People argue even better than Kate because of Galvanize, gives all the necessary attack and max brave buffs, it gives the regen, but all the people who use Ramza EX told me you need the EX for Ramza to have the consistent brave to HP attack to dump his brave and to give that big ass buff
and for the max brave buff to himself from the passives.
Right. Yeah. So like they're saying like Ramza's great, but you need the EX. Vaughn is great, but you need the EX. And I feel like those two are EXs are even rare. I'd rather say ask for a Lael 35 because a 35 CP is more common than an EX. but everyone that's done it without Lael either use Ramza EX or Vaughn EX. And like it's a struggle. Like, let's see where we are next week when we do our next podcast and people reporting in, but this is a very, very tight score right now.
Yeah.
And but as I said, we do have the weapon tokens available. As many people told me, they're like, just weapon token Lael's 35 if you don't have it.
Right.
Which I broke down and did, and had an easy time with it. But I'm saying, is it possible to do it without these 3 like super meta characters for this fight? Because we're back in a argument of the Lena EX era we were talking about, where Lena EX you needed one of at least 4 characters to do it. You needed Sephiroth or Lena or King or Saz, etc. And I'm saying, yeah, go ahead.
Another little thing, Zero Lancer in chat asked if a friend unit counts against the non-Lael run. That's not the case. Friend units are okay. You'll be able to find a friend unit for almost anything if you look hard enough. So friend units, you can use whatever you want.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd argue 4 and 2 because I'm saying if you even use a friend, you're saying you still need a Lael 35. Still need it.
But
it's a temporary assistant.
Yeah,
but you still need it. Like, somebody has to have it for you to clear.
Well, we know plenty of people have Lael 35 on their friends list, so that's not a big. But
but I'm saying, like, no, even friend
hopefully
units
Macnol's Call to Arms will come up with some very interesting combinations we can talk about next week, and let us know in our Discord. Comment on YouTube or Twitch, talk to us on Twitter, or send us an email, TCC Podcast. What is it? What is our email? It's at something at tccpodcast.com. Go to tccpodcast.com and find where our email is. I don't know why I don't have it up there. It's a Gmail account. That's all I know. Anyway, so our next week we're going to have a question, and this comes from Quetzalma. How do you feel, and this is going on about what we're talking about now, how do you feel about the current power creep now that may all have changed with these new heretics? Are you basically only using the meta units, or are you having success with other units? So it'll be interesting to see if people are kind of focused on 1 or 2 teams, or if they are going to find some interesting things. Now, leading up to the Rising and the EX, I was able to use some different teams, so we'll talk more about that. So as we end today, just looking ahead to that calendar, which we didn't really talk about, we have 2 LCs, both Celeste and Kane LCs this month. We have 2 events, Fang as a new character and a mystery character who's definitely not Deuce. We have One World of Illusion Pandemonium, and we have a new chapter, Arc 2, Chapter 1, who has one new character, Seven. And Seven is a lady with a whip. So if you like that, good time. So how do you, what do you think about this coming month? Are you excited? Or are you going to, what are you going to do? Are you going to skip? Are you going to pull? Are you going to...
So Monta's yelled at me about my choice for getting Shadow 35 with the anniversary tokens. And he says I'm going to repeat the same mistake because I keep swearing I'm going to go all in on the pity rate for Kane EX.
Yeah.
That is the plan for me. And he says he's going to give me so much shit about it because I'm going to regret it instantly like the Shadow one. How about you, Kriese?
I think this month is going to be mostly niche and favorites for most people. Celeste is another tank. Tanks are very niche right now. Fang is going to be bad. I don't think they can save her with her releasing global. Deuce is another support, but we already have very strong support, so she can replace one, but she isn't doing anything new particularly. Kane is another selfish DPS. He's good.
How dare you?
Yes.
How dare you?
And Seven is another selfish DPS.
Dare you?
She's a powerful DPS, but she's still selfish. So I think across the board, there's not going to be anything that's going to be a must draw, but there's going to be a lot of fun characters that if you want to pull for this character, it's not going to.
Yeah, very good.
I'm gonna say, on a personal note, I'm super hyped for MEX. We'll talk about that next time, but I'm super hyped for MEX. How about you, Mark?
I think this is going to be a big, besides tickets, this is going to be a no gem month for me. I think I am going to not spend any gems. As we didn't really talk about, but I was able to map out my next 8 months of gem expenditures using the average of quarterly quarterly gem income that we get. Thankfully, people have been keeping track of this, so we kind of know we get around 200,000 gems every quarter. It averages out to about 50,000 a month. Most months we get like 47 or 48,000 gems. Some months we get more with special events. So it comes up to be about 200,000 a quarter, or every every 4 months. So a third, not really a quarter, is it? Every 4 months. So around 50,000 gems a month, and around 250 tickets too, which seems like a lot more tickets than we it seems like 250 is more than we get, but we tend to spend tickets a lot easier than we save them. So we do actually get quite a few tickets a month if you complete all the content. So yeah, I have mapped out my gem expenditures, assuming using 75,000 gems on certain banners all the way through November of this year. So
I have not planned out that far ahead.
Yeah, Mark, you're a crazy
currently,
person.
I'm looking at. I'm still not sure. I'm going to wait for Fang Banner to show up before I make any final decisions. But my current thoughts are I'm going to try to put some polls towards Celeste for her EX, because that still is not shown back up in Japan at this point, and Celeste is one of my favorite FF6 characters.
Fair.
I'll probably drop some
she
gems
makes
on 7 and Rem EX, and that'll probably be it for the month after that.
Kriese pulling for favorite Celis. I'm pulling for favorite Kain. Let's everyone make a note of.
Yeah, there you go. Celeste becomes really
Yeah.
important in the boards, right? For a free.
Very, very small period, because I think that's like a big jump in difficulty.
Yeah.
And Celeste trivializes the fight by absorbing magic. But then later on, you get like Zac EX and Warrior of Light 70, who are big enough tanks that you don't really need Celeste.
Or
So-
just Vayne, and then you just win everything.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say she's necessary.
Vayne is on my list, oddly enough.
Of course, Vayne is super strong. And sorry, quick detour is people are talking about the fights, the heretic fights in the chat right now on where to summon. Some people say you should summon on the final wave for the. I just want to point out that I summoned on the Ghost Brothers. So like once you break the ads and the ghost becomes available, I summoned before it can resummon the ads, and I was able to get the score easily. So I think both are viable. If you want to save your summon for the end, or you want to use it in the middle, I think you can get the score.
I'll say that there's arguments for summoning on every wave, just about, because on Ghost Brothers, summoning before he resummons saves you a lot of turns on having to kill him again. Summoning on the Mannequin saves you from going into danger zone because of Mannequin Ramses Galvanize, and summoning on the Lizards because they can do a lot of AoE damage and they can buff themselves quite a
Yeah. Yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, sorry. God of Cloud says, does Celis really need EX to tank Ifrit EX, though? The answer is no, actually.
She does not, no.
But it's Krise's favorite, so I can't fault pulling for it, because I'm pulling for Kain. He's absolute trash. He's never been good at all in this game. Still going all in.
He had a little window of meta.
He did. He had a tiny window in GL.
I used him,
will
for a
respect
while.
that. Lots of people try to. Yeah, lots of people try to tell me he never had a moment to shine. When he came out, he was pretty damn strong.
I used him.
Kain would have had a
for
much
good
larger window of meta if it was not for Saz and it was not for Kuja.
Yep.
They stacked it up against him.
Exactly. So screw you guys. Kain was good at 50.
He was.
I don't think he'll be good at 60.
I'm going to awaken him. I have him fully limit broke, so. All right. Hey, well, if you follow our show notes, we're going to have a whole bunch of links to our friends, all their content. There's tons of great content creators out there and a list of coming events. I think that's enough, and I think that's all for us. So any last words? Kriese, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for inviting me. I'll just plug myself a little bit. You can find me mostly on the subreddit as Xerink. I post the evaluations when I have time. You can expect the Celeste Awakening evaluation to come sometime this weekend, and later next week I'll be posting my Fang evaluation. And I'm sorry, Fang. I'm going to keep repeating that because she's a favorite of mine, and she's so bad.
Now you know how I feel with Kain. Same with these edgy Dragoons. Can't make him good.
Well, thank you all on Twitch for listening. Make sure you give us a like and even a subscribe if you can. and continue to follow us on our Discord. We can follow our official Discord here at the following link. Once I get it. Somebody put that link down there. I got it right here. But yeah, you can continue talking with us throughout the week and join that Discord and just have a good time. You can learn more about us at tccpodcast.com. Do download the podcast if you haven't got to listen to the full show or if you missed a couple weeks. Give us a review on Apple or any Google Play or anywhere you listen to your weekly podcast. So for the Crystal Chronicles, episode 44, this is Mark, Mino, and Kriese signing off. And good luck and good pulls for this coming week.